I almost never met my wife. If it wasn't for a virus that spread across the world in 2009, I would have never met my wife. I probably would have not been married. Therefore, my daughter would never have been born. Because if it wasn't for that virus, my wife would not have been invited to the event that allowed me to meet her due to many people canceling at the last minute due to that virus, H1N1 in 2009. My wife wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to go to that event, and therefore we would have never met. One small event changed my life forever. And you know what's the interesting, curious thing about it? Like that virus started on a pig farm in Mexico 10 years before the first human was infected. And that changed my life. I had no idea, I had no clue. And that's what we talk about when we refer to chaos theory. Maybe you've heard about it, butterfly effect. The fact that one small action now could have a lasting impact or greater impact further down the timeline of life. It's an interesting concept to think about. But here's the problem. The problem is that as human beings, and I think especially as men, we want control. We want to feel, or like I should say, we have the idea, or we like the idea to think that we are in control. That's why you hear phrases like, a self-made millionaire, a self-made man, or yeah, do whatever you put your mind to. You can be whatever you put your mind to, and a lot of cliche statements that maybe lack a lot of depth and maybe veracity, accuracy. But yeah, we really like to feel like we are in control, and we lose sight of how many factors impact our outcomes. Because the reality is, we really control nothing. All we're doing is influencing, but control, complete control, we don't have. I mean, when we talk about maybe our attitudes, our behaviors, even that to some extent is influenced by our environment, our DNA, and genetics, upbringing. We do have a lot more control where that's concerned, but the fact of the matter is there's so much of what happens around us and what we do. What we're doing is being influenced and also simultaneously influencing others. In my notes, in my journal, I've been writing about this topic because I've been fascinated with it recently. And for me, I've been able to extract three main lessons that I think might be useful or interesting for you to listen to. And the first lesson for me is that chaos theory, the butterfly effect, is humbling, you know? Now, when we talk about the butterfly effect, is based on this idea that a butterfly in Brazil flapping its wings has the potential, and this is real, has the potential to cause a tornado in Texas, USA. So that small action, insignificant at the moment, can have a ripple effect. And that is humbling because it means, therefore, that we don't necessarily have as much control as we think we have or as we would like to have. So that we should be humbled by that and recognize the influence of others, appreciate the influence of others, whether it be for good things, positive things, but even negative things, because we're constantly being influenced. So if we were looking for higher probability, higher chance of better outcomes, well, we want to put ourselves in situations where we're having more positive influence. But it's humbling to think that we're influencing others, but we're not in control. And that should keep us grounded. Another lesson that I think chaos theory teaches us, and this facts teach us, is that we need to be, it gives us a sense of responsibility. The fact that we are influencing and we don't know necessarily the impact down the road that our actions today, however small or insignificant they may seem, the impact that is going to have on others. Yeah. And that should give us responsibility. Also, there are a small, minute percentage of what we do that we control, a small percentage of control that we may have in terms of our immediate activities and the things that we do. So we should make it count. We should act in a responsible way so that we have a higher chance of having a more positive influence. And I think the third point about it is that I think KF's theory makes me feel the need to be more flexible as an individual. Again, it relates to the first point of being able to control very, very, very little. So we have no choice but to be flexible. There's so many things acting on our inputs and our actions and our the energy that we put into different things, and the outcome could be quite unpredictable. So that's why sometimes when things don't work out, when things fail, we don't want to stay down. We want to develop flexibility, resilience. We want to develop a growth mindset, dusting ourselves off and moving on. There's an ancient Jewish proverb. It's found in the Bible in Proverbs 24:16, and it says that, a righteous man may fall 7 times, but he'll always get up. He'll always get up and get going again. So failure is not about the fall, but it's about staying down. As long as we don't stay down, we get up and we pick ourselves up and we get going again, we haven't failed. We've learned a lesson and we're determined to move forward. Sometimes, even when it comes to negative actions, like negative actions could have also a positive effect some point in time down the road. I mean, we think about the 15th century Europeans came over to the across the Atlantic, and it changed history forever. It changed the course of history forever. I mean, from that event, what we have as a result was slave trade, we have colonization, we have revolutions, and centuries later, I was born in a small island called Trinidad, and I live in this part of the world. Maybe even my religious convictions are influenced by that terrible event or that terrible period in history. I owe my life to that terrible period in history. And everything that I enjoy in my life is directly as a result of that event of suffering and abuse and terrible, terrible example of how man and human beings have dominated each other to their own detriment. But the reality is that it's something that I have benefited from. So it comes back to the fact that, what we experience, what we do today might echo for generations. The butterfly doesn't know that he has caused a tornado, and we don't know the effect of our small actions today. We never know if our decision to put out YouTube videos or to put something more positive out in the world, we don't know the effect it's going to have. We don't know the effect of our act of faith, our act of love, our act of discipline, the effect that it's going to have, not just on our immediate circle, but on our grandchildren or someone else's grandchildren. You see, in some way or another, we are all connected and we're all influencing each other. We are all going to influence each other, whether we like it or not. Every human being on the world, on the planet, will be affected by my decisions, whether it be now or generations in the future. And that's humbling and that's motivating to act responsibly. And it motivates us to be more flexible and appreciative of others. Just a thought, something to wrap our minds around. Maybe you could write in the comments. I think a good idea could be to express one small thing that you have done or that someone has done for you that changed your life and how you think that perhaps might impact others. You never know. Your comments mean a lot. So looking forward to seeing them, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for your attention. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.